Hi everyone and welcome to FTB Sports Broadcasting. Today we've got myself Adam, you've got Carl and you've got myself Errol. We were presenting today our first ever show, and today's show will be all about the Paul Pogba situation for France and for Manchester United. So let me start it off to begin with. Last week France played and they rated Pogba a 3 out of 10. The newspaper absolutely throw him under the bus and start blaming Manchester United for the situation that's going on at the moment. This week, again, Deschamps has come out and once again has blamed Manchester United for the underperforming Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba then came in defence at the end of the match and blamed himself and said that it was his fault of his performance. So today we've got Adam and Carl. We're all going to be discussing, is it a Pogba in, a Pogba out, or is it Pogba a big problem for club and country? So if we start off with Adam, who's a Manchester United fan. Tell us a bit more, Adam. Are you a Pogba in, Pogba out, or do you just think the media is making something out of nothing?
I'm more one of them where Pogba hasn't done enough to guarantee a place at United, but I want him to do well. He hasn't. He's had moments. I think the season before last, I think he scored like 20 goals, got 16 assists or something. It looked like he turned a corner under Ollie, and then he done what he always does when he gets a bit too comfortable, gets a bit cocky. At the moment, he always has a better game with France because they have a better team, quite clearly. So you're always gonna perform better for your national team if you've got a better team than your club. But I don't know, every time he goes away to international duty, there's always comments coming out, and that can't be coincidence every time. He's obviously, someone's leaking something somewhere. So I'm not sure. Most of the time it is probably the media turning around small comments into something big because he is one of the world's known superstars in football, so they're gonna try and unnerve him as much as they can. But I don't know, what do you make of that, Carl?
Well, I reckon Pogba's a waste of talent at Man United. Absolute wasted talent. I don't think him or United are right for each other at the minute. The playing style's not there. He doesn't get any positions in the team. When he plays for France, he's not confident. I mean, I don't know whether it's the manager or the tactics, but I think he's got such a bright future ahead of him at any other club. Maybe come back to United in a couple of years when the team's sorted out, but I just can't see him getting in there, to be honest. He's the same as Ozil at Arsenal. There's no position for him. The manager doesn't like to fit him into his squad.
So, quick one then, Carl. With that, do you think Pogba is actually a good player, or do you just think he was very lucky? He was in the right place at the right time with say, for instance, Juventus, because you got to remember Juventus, when United signed him from Juventus for 90 million, think of the players he had playing alongside him.
He's a brilliant player, but if you put him in a team alongside other brilliant players, he shines. Whereas you put him in a team of Man United when he's looked as to be number one, there's too much pressure on his shoulders. I reckon he doesn't perform the way everyone thinks he should do.
Yeah, and also, you got to remember the Italian league is nothing. It's not nothing, but it's not as hard as league as the Premier League. Premier League's more demanding. Italian football is is very defensive. If you're playing a team like Juventus, it's very easy to win a title every year. Very easy to play well, especially when you have them superstars next to you as well. So, yeah, coming in to be Man United's main man in the Premier League in probably United's worst spell in 30 years probably isn't going to go well. So, yeah, there's so many things to weigh up.
He's not your typical leader, is he?
Pardon?
He's not your typical leader. You wouldn't look to him and say he's the captain. He's going to take the team.
He's not.
He's your provider when you need him to provide, but he doesn't like being the centre of attention as much as we think he does, especially in a bad team performance. That's what I say.
For France, when you watch him for France, he plays the role that Bruno Fernandes play, and that's a free role. When he played for Juventus, he played a free role as well. It's almost like because of the players they've got there, it's almost like it allow him to go wherever he needs to go. But for United, do you feel he's got the shackles on and it's almost like they're trying to tell him to play in one position, but because over the years, it's almost like what they say, you can never teach an old dog new trick. Do you think it's sort of like in his head, it's like for him to be in one position and that position is almost like box to box player, where at United, he's been asked to be a sort of a holding midfield player?
I think he's more worried about what the other players are doing around him. Whereas when you're in a team like France or Juventus, you've not really got to worry too much because you know you've got quality players around you who are going to be doing their job. Whereas you've got a lot of youth that United are bringing in. You've got people like Scott McTominay. Yeah, he's got Bruno Fernandes next to him. When they're both playing a free role, who's going to pick up positions when they need to be picked up? Who's going to be in the right position at the right time? Who's going to play the pass? Who's going to be standing in front of the back four to make sure no one's getting counter-attacked? Where's he going to play? He's got too much on his mind.
Also, the reason I think it is more down to the manager why he's playing so deep, and the reason for that is, excuse my French, is that we're shit. I don't know that a team like Manchester United that has to play two defensive midfielders against the lowest teams in the Premier League. It's a little bit embarrassing. I mean, you know, we should be capable of, if we can get Bruno and Pogba to work together, playing two cams, one defensive midfielder. I think that would benefit us. I know, we would have to be more intense on the ball. Kind of like how it was under Fergie. Had to be attack quick, get back just as quick. That's how we play. We will concede, but we will score goals. And at the moment, we're not doing either. So I think it's down to the manager. I think he would love to play more forward, but I don't think he's got that option because the manager doesn't have trust in that team. And as fans, nor do we. So
it's for United point of view. It's embarrassing because for me, when I look at, say, United now, and Carl, tell me if you agree with me, it's almost like with the attacking force United's got, I look at that team and I look at a 4-3-3 when I look at that team. And with the 4-4-3, you can fit Bruno Fernandes in, you can fit Pogba in, and you can fit Van der Beek in. You can fit all these players in, but for some reason or another, like you touched on it, the manager doesn't trust. So do you think, Carl, it's to do with is it down to the sort of like the manager to install that in the players, or is it sort of like the player, once you touch the white line, you go over it, is it that down to the players, or the manager has still got to be there with it within their mind? Because if you look at certain managers on the touchline, they're on the touchline with almost Ole. He's always sitting down. He doesn't move. What's your thoughts on that as well? As a manager, like looking at, you got Arsene Wenger. If you look back at Arsene Wenger, you even got Arteta right now who does the same thing on the touchline. What do you think of the manager and the man management of Ole?
I think he's got no confidence in his back four, to be honest. I think if he had more confidence in his back four, he'd probably play a single CDM and play more attacking. Maybe that's why he plays Pogba in that position, because he thinks, he's got physical ability, he's strong, maybe he can back up the other defensive midfielder. Wally, he just looks like one of them relaxed, laid-back managers. I mean, you look at Mikel, like you've mentioned, he speaks 6 or 7 languages on the sideline, shouting at all his players. But again, we play 2 CDMs, sometimes 3 central defensive midfielders at a time. And we've got a back 5 most games, and still we've got 2 central defensive midfielders that sit in the centre of the park. So maybe this is a new tactic that they're picking up on in the Premier League and just trying to adapt these central defensive midfielders into attacking mindset. I don't know, but it is a trend I'm starting to see. I don't like the trend personally, in my opinion. I prefer the one central defensive, more attack minded. Maybe it's lack of confidence in his squad, or he just thinks he can adapt the player to change his mindset and work in a new role. I don't know.
It could be the factor. Adam, right. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Controversial question. Swap deal. Pogba for Ronaldo. Yes or no?
No. Not in my opinion. I mean, Pogba, you never know what you're going to get with him. But with Ronaldo, is it worth...
He's like Marmite, isn't he? He's like Marmite.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's it. Most of the time I hate him. But there's been times I've loved him. But with Ronaldo, what's he going to give us? He's nowhere near the Ronaldo that we sold. And what's he going to give us? A year and a half, and then he's retired. I don't really see the point. It'd be a nice gesture from the club to bring him back to the club where he pretty much made his name. But
do you know why they'll bring him back? The reason I reckon they'll bring him back, and see if you agree with Con. Yeah. I was going to say it as well, Carl. What do you reckon? You're not bringing Ronaldo back. What would you think that would be to do with shirt sale, wouldn't it?
I'd say shirt sales, yeah. I couldn't see it happening, to be honest. I think it'd be too much of a big job for one player, even someone of Ronaldo's caliber, to put the pressure of dragging your team forwards on one person's shoulders, even from one of the best players in the world. It's big ask.
That one player can't change the mentality at the club at the moment.
Exactly. I mean, they may give them a bit of confidence. You've got someone like Ronaldo in your squad. I mean, they're going to give anyone confidence, but that's a big ask for one player to be able to pick up the whole squad and change managers, change points of view.
Yeah.
Would he want to downgrade that much?
I don't think Ronaldo would go. I honestly don't think Ronaldo would go to Man United. I would suggest if he was to leave and go anywhere and come back to the Premier League, I could see him going to Wolves.
What? And finish the Portuguese 11 aside.
It's a Portuguese, it would be a Portuguese 11 aside. It would be a Portuguese 11 aside.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see all 12 players from Portugal. It would be good.
But that's also, where he would go on.
Also, would Juventus wouldn't sell him for cheap. They bought him for 99 million. 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
And how much are they going to charge to get rid of Ronaldo as well at the age of 35?
60 million? 60, 70 million?
Yes, a lot of money for a 35-year-old though.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But also, Adam, going back now, because you're a United fan, do you think part of Pogba's sort of body language and the way he's carrying himself at the club at the moment, do you think that's down to the owner of the club and Ed Woodward? Because I honestly believe when he signed that contract and he came in with Jose Mourinho, I honestly believe he was promised better players. He was promised a lot, and all the promises is almost like non-existent. It reminds me of, say, for instance, Sanchez. It's the same thing. They've been promised stuff. It hasn't happened.
You've had a lot of players like that, though. You look at Alexis Sanchez, Di Maria, all these big players that come over to you, and they weren't at their best. And there's got to be a reason why these players are signing for Man United, buzzing to sign for Man United. It's such a great history. They're excited to play at Old Trafford, and then they play a couple of games and they're just flat.
Yeah.
And they lose. Yeah. Why?
But as a Man United fan, obviously watched a lot of documentaries on Fergie since his retirement, crying yourself to sleep, that sort of thing. There's always one thing that sticks out. And he says you have to watch for the amount of foreign players you bring in at the same time. Because if you're bringing in, I think that season when Falcao come in, Di Maria come in at the same time. And, we're looking at them thinking, these are amazing players. They bang goals for fun. But, they got a team that's already very unsettled because I think Moyes got sacked after 10 months. The players... Yep. The squad was ripped apart by, Ferdinand going out, Vidic, Scholes left a year before, Giggsy was now a coach, Evra, I think he left after that season. So
He
the
left in
squad,
January, didn't he?
yeah, the squad was pretty much just ripped apart, and we're expecting these players to come in, absolutely expecting them to hit the ground running. I think our midfield at the time was Carrick and Sneijderlin, and I think we had Schweinsteiger on the bench.
Yeah, but I think he left prematurely as well, the club, because I think within the sort of like 6 to 8 games he played that season before he left in January, he was doing really well for the club.
Yeah.
So again, like what Carl said, there's bigger issue within the club than Pogbas.
Well, there is, yeah, by far there's. I mean, just look at it from the outside. It can't be every fan that's wrong. When you sort of look into the club, look at that board. They've been banging on about a director of football now for God knows how many years. I think it was promised as well when Ollie come in.
It was promised, and I think what it was, one of the main candidate for it was actually Rio Ferdinand. He was the main candidate for it. So I don't know. Well, Carl, you would have seen it. Sign him up in BT Sport.
I did, yeah.
I think because he thought he was going to get the director's job. And then all of a sudden, it didn't happen because Ed Woodward don't trust anyone apart from himself, even though we as fans don't trust him. Would you swap Ozil for Pogba? Carl?
There's two different types of players, in my opinion. I mean, Pogba would probably get played more than Ozil in Arteta's role. But do we need that type of player when we've got someone that passes?
He's a luxury player, though.
He's a lovely player. I'd love to have him in any of my teams. But I'd rather have prime Ozil because he knows the team. He knows how Arsenal plays. He knows how Arteta wants him to play. He played alongside him. That's another situation we could sit here and talk about for ages.
True.
I'd rather have a prime Ozil, but I would take Pogba. Anyone would take Pogba in the team.
Yeah. But it's, again, for me, when I look at Pogba, and like we said, it's almost like when he goes away for France, there's always issue. But like what Adam said, I believe it's to do with the newspaper. It's all to do with the newspaper. And it wouldn't surprise me if his agent paid someone to do something to come out with it, because his agent all of a sudden has gone quiet. He's gone quiet and he's already come out and said, I'm not doing anything with Man United anymore. Again, today, not sure if you've seen the rumours or heard the rumours, but apparently now Adam there's talking about he might sign a new contract, a new 3-year contract extension.
Yeah, I think the agent's gone quiet because I think last summer was the one where if he was going to go, the agent would get the big payout. But now we've got COVID that's hit. He isn't going to get the price that he wants for him. And, you know, the agent isn't going to get the big payout. Madrid have already said they don't have funds to buy players like that. And Barcelona aren't going to go and spend that money on him. So I think he's stuck now. He's got a choice whether you wait out your contract, you leave for free, or you sign a new contract. And you probably, United are probably stupid enough to give him another pay rise in the, for all of his great performances that he's carried us through. It's one of them.
So Carl, go on.
Do you think he wants to leave? Do you think he wants to stay at United?
100%.
I honestly think he wants to stay at United.
Do you think it was a regret of his to move from the squad they had, to move to United, for Ronaldo to move to Juventus? Do you think that his aspirations would have, if he had the opportunity to play Ronaldo at Juventus, he would have stayed there?
I don't think at the time they could afford him, though, because you got to remember a lot of the money United bought him. Sorry, the amount of money that Juventus paid for him, basically they had to then go on loan a few players because they couldn't afford. So that sale helped to see Ronaldo go in there as well. So I don't think Juventus can afford anything, because I know when United wanted Dybala, United was talking about 50, 60 million for him. They were saying, no, well, we need 90 million to 100 million for him. And I think that deal was very close as well. But the problem with the deal, I believe it's all to do with the agents. The agent wanted something like 15 million.
What was it? What was it United for? Was it because he was at United before and they let him go? You just wanted him back?
I think, Adam, you want to hit this one on? You want to answer it?
Well, then what was the question again, Carl?
What was the like obsession with Pogba as United fans? Was it the fact that he played at a younger age and you let him go to Juve? You see him excel at Juve?
Yeah,
it's the same situation with us and players like Serge Gnabry at Bayern Munich. We see him now and we think, why did you ever let him go?
Yeah, but sorry, carry on.
Is there ever a happy ending to the story if they do come back?
Good question. Very good question. I think with Pogba, I think Fergie was willing to give him a chance, but he couldn't deal with his agent because I think even at that young age, his agent was demanding millions of pounds in his wages.
10 grand a week as a 16-year-old.
Yeah. And then, I mean, any interview I've ever seen about the United legends talk about Pogba was that he was one of the he was one of the best youth players there was at the time, and then they let him go for free. And I think when they saw how much they were struggling, he at United, and they saw Pogba couldn't at Juventus, and then the it's Castello, is he? Yeah, they saw him. They saw him killing it for Juventus, and at the time, Mourinho had come in, and he fit the profile for a Mourinho player. More than 6 foot, big strides. He's got that physical ability in the box, and it was just. I think it's a case of they didn't want to spend that money on him because they didn't want to spend 80 odd million on a player that they let go for free because it's a bit embarrassing at the same time. But Mourinho wanted him, and yeah, unfortunately for them, it became toxic with him. But I do believe there is a happy ending. I believe Thierry Henry come back and scored a goal against Leeds, so I think that was a happy ending.
But for me, you see, with the whole Pogba thing, I think with Jose, I don't honestly think Pogba was his signing. Pogba was not his signing.
I don't know. Did you ever see the pictures online that were circling when they were in for him, and he was caught with his whiteboard in the background that had Pogba on it in the midfield, and that was 2 weeks before they signed him. Yeah,
because I know it was Lukaku who helped seal the deal. Lukaku flew to America to basically almost sign the contract there and then with him. But at the same time, I don't know if it was I don't honestly think he's a Jose signing.
He fits the profile of a Jose signing. He doesn't go for short players, which is why I felt like Fred wasn't a Jose signing. I feel like Definitely he was the club signing because Jose wanted that central defender. I think they said no because he'd already spent God knows how much money on defenders. Yeah, and they can't even stay fit for more than a game. You look at Eric Bailly, look at Lindelof's quite regular, but Bailly his injury list is a joke, really.
Would you, rumours have it again? We're just going to jump off the Pogba one. Would you have Bailly at Arsenal, Carl?
No.
Do you know? I think he's United's best defender.
You reckon?
Is United best? A fit Bailly is United's best defender.
It's probably one of the best defenders you've had in a long time, to be honest with you.
Fit Bailly would be United's best defender.
What about
No. Do not rate him one bit.
Harry Maguire is the best defender at the club.
Do not rate him one bit. Overpriced, everything about him. You put him on his left and you've gone past him. Yeah. He's terrible. He's can't win a header. He can't win nothing. He's like, you might as well have Phil Jones playing there. you probably
Wan-Bissaka?
get a better performance.
Wan-Bissaka?
Better defender than thingy than what's his name at Liverpool, but no.
Or would you?
No.
So you don't rate Maguire at all because when you look at the price tag isn't, that's not down to him. That's just the price of being English, unfortunately.
Can I ask you a question then? In the prime, Johnny Evans and a Maguire, who would you pick? Who do you choose?
Well, you need to have them both playing under Fergie, mate. For me
No, but I'm saying even after Ferguson days, Evans still better than him. Evans right now is better than him.
Oh yeah, right now he is. Yeah,
yeah, still is better than But this is what I'm saying though. We had the opportunity to sign Evans back, and they said no, and they went and got paid 85 million.
But then again, Evans now he's in a more stable team than we are. Our team. Yeah, we can have a game where we absolutely murder teams, and we can have a game where we go and get ripped apart by, a small club like Spurs.
West Brom.
A small club like Spurs that are probably going to win the league this year.
I've said this many a times before. Man United, Arsenal had such a great rivalry back in the days, absolute glory days, just trophies stealing off each other. And now we're both in the shadows.
Same, yeah. We're non-existent.
We're non-existent anymore. We're just these old clubs of old history trying to battle to stay back into Europe.
We turned into a Liverpool, innit, where we just talk about history all the time now.
Scousers.
Yeah, we're talking history, but on a real thing, I just like going back to sort of like the Pogba thing. I think it's just newspaper. I honestly think it's just a newspaper stirring stuff up.
Yeah.
I honestly believe it's just a newspaper. So, we ain't got long to go because we're getting a reminder at the moment. So, Adam, in or out Pogba?
Out.
Carl,
going out.
Not a United fan, but if you had a choice,
out.
In.
There was a loser.
In.